Video comes into play, captured on May 13th. It's hard to see anything visually, but the audio is pretty clear. Her son is quiet until his primary teacher leaves the room. That's when Tiffany Lee says a teacher she's identified as an assistant in the classroom appears to suddenly become aggressive toward her son.
Thank you for tuning in once again to another episode of the Goodrich Chronicles. I am your host, Anthony Goodrich. Now, by now, you should all know how I love the kids. And you should all know how much I hate the crooked cops. But this ain't a video about another crooked cop. This is one where we need to keep an eye on our kids. And kudos to the mother in this video. She had an autistic son to the point where he can't even speak. He's in class. She gets reports for days on end talking about her son is disruptive and he's rude and disrespectful and he's doing this, that, and the third. Well, the mother's like, wait a minute. My son ain't like that. What are you talking about? So she would ask, can she come sit in class and observe? Or can she come to the school and watch through the window, through the door windows, to see how he's interacting with the kids and with the adults for that matter. You know what? They never responded. Never responded at all. But you know what? Oh my God. Oh my God. She put a camera. This is so clever, and I applaud her. She put a camera in her son's head. Well, in her son's hair. That'd be kind of trippy to have her put a camera in his head. But anyways, she put a camera in his hair. He goes to school and the SHIT hits the fan. They're hitting this boy. They call him racial slurs. And this boy's not doing nothing wrong. It's them provoking this hostile situation. It's them that's making this little boy react the way that he does, and the way that I don't understand. How do we treat our kids like this? These are a prime candidate for an ass whooping. Yep, you know it. They need their ass whooped. Now I'm gonna play this video for you. It's not much of a visual as it is as an audio. So listen to what these people are doing. This is crazy to me. Check out the video.
I'm Brian Chalonsky. The mom of a Field Elementary School student who has a disability is accusing her son's teacher of abuse.
This after she sent him to school with a hidden camera in his hair to try to figure out what was happening firsthand. Wave News reporter Alina Noakes has more on the allegations and that video that was captured.
This is the video camera Tiffany Lee tucked into her son's hair this week after repeatedly being told by school staff that her son was acting abusive towards teachers. Her son is autistic and nonverbal, and she says that's simply not how he behaves. She began to question what was really going on. That's where this video comes into play, captured on May 13th. It's hard to see anything visually, but the audio is pretty clear. Her son is quiet until his primary teacher leaves the room. That's when Tiffany Lee says a teacher she's identified as an assistant in the classroom appears to suddenly become aggressive toward her son. It leads to the student beginning to stim, clapping his hands and shouting, something the mom says he only does when he's agitated.
Get off me now, boy. Get over. Get over.
Lee says this was not the only thing the camera captured that day. Other staff can be heard discussing smoking marijuana and edibles right in front of her son. She says just because her son can't speak does not mean he should not be treated with care and dignity.
Our child was put in a situation where he was scared, overwhelmed, and powerless. And while this was happening, there was adults in the room who did nothing to stop it. This is unacceptable.
Now Lee is calling on lawmakers to require cameras in all ECE classrooms to make sure students like her son aren't being harmed just because they cannot speak for themselves. Lee is calling for the teacher involved in these allegations to be fired. JCPS says an investigation is underway. JCPS police and CPS are also involved. The staff member at the center of this is not being allowed into the school building at this time. Alina Noakes.
Do you agree with me? Do they need their ass whooped? They need their ass whooped completely. Now, I don't get too many comments on my videos. I really don't. And that's okay. I'm cool with that. But this one, I need to hear what people are thinking. I need to hear what people are saying. What y'all feeling? This is like completely and utterly unacceptable. We cannot allow people to conduct themselves like this through life. We cannot. There's so many things going on with kids in the world today that it makes me sick to my stomach. How people can do and say the things that they do and say about kids. I don't care how bad they are. I don't care what they're doing. There's no way, reason, shape, form, or rhyme why we should be disrespecting, belittling, physically abusing kids. Now, I'll be the first to tell you, when you discipline your kids at home, that's one thing. And I'm all about whooping that ass if they deserve it. You know, tapping that ass a few times ain't never hurt nothing. Well, it hurt that ass, but hey, I grew up with it and I came out pretty damn good as far as having morals, values, and respect for other people. And that little ass whooping I got here and there solidified that in my opinion. You know, I wouldn't trade it for nothing else. I wasn't beat, but I got my ass whooped and it got the point across. And the only people that whooped my ass was my mom and my dad. They did it out of love. I know they did because they love me. But that's beside the point. But when you're beating, slapping, punching, and mentally degrading any child, unacceptable. Unacceptable. And it's people like that that need their ass whooped. And those that abuse and kill children, they need to be put in an active volcano, dropped off, never to be heard from again. Instead of keeping them on death row or staying in jail for the rest of their life, drop their asses off in an active volcano. Yeah, you heard that little rooster out there, that little bird brain. Oh my God, I hear that little rooster out there all the time. He keeps waking me up early in the morning. Did you hear that again? Yeah. Chicken stew on the menu. Anyways, I had to bring this video out to you. We need to do better as a community in taking care of our kids. That old cliche saying, it takes a village to raise a child, has apparently gone out the window. Because I remember way back when, and before I could remember, because I was told about it, the neighborhood would take care of each other's kids. You know, I remember growing up, and we could literally walk into our neighbor's house, doors open, unlocked, and make ourselves at home. You know what I mean? Because we were all just that close-knit with each other. Nowadays, you'll get shot. You'll get shot walking up in somebody's house, even if y'all are friends. You know what I'm saying? It's harsh like that. But way back when, it was so comfortable where you could just do what you do, play with your friends, and you had supervision even though your parents or brother or sister wasn't around because you had other adults in the neighborhood that were looking out for you. And you best believe when they did good things for you, like, you know, made sure you were fed and had something to drink and entertained you and all, when you acted up, oh, believe, they were telling your mom and dad. They gonna tell them. I'll tell you a story what I did one time about the community raising the children, right? There's about 4 or 5 of my friends. I was like 9 years old. And This is lady in the neighborhood. She was I ain't even gonna say it. She was just mean. She was just mean. She did not like kids, and she made it known that she didn't like kids. She didn't want us in her yard. She didn't want us around anything that belonged to her. Period. I mean, and we lived in the projects, right? So it ain't nothing but kids. Ghetto kids at that. So, but we knew she had cable TV, right? So I had the idea of cutting her cable line so she couldn't watch TV no more. It was like me and my friends. I told her, I said, listen, I go to the house and get a little steak knife and we can cut her cable. She won't be able to watch TV for a while. Because we knew that's what she liked to do. She liked to stay in the house and watch TV all day. But because she was so mean, we was trying to figure out ways to get back at her. And that was my bright idea. And so I did it. I went home, I got a knife, and I cut this woman's cable line. Oh, what did I do that for? Oh, that was the worst thing ever. Because, of course, the cable line is outside. My friends didn't tell on me, but the neighbor next door saw my black ass out there cutting the cable line. And what they do? Went over there and told Joe Goodrich. Yeah, that was my pops. And he wasn't having it. Oh, my God, he wasn't having it. Let me tell you, he whooped my ass, and he whooped my ass good. And you best believe I never even thought about doing no shit like that again. Ever. Ever. I remember how I'm going to tell you how he whooped my ass too. He grabbed me by both my ankles with one hand, flipped me upside down. Okay? Let me reverse that. He flipped me upside down first, then grabbed me by my ankles, held me upside down like this, took a belt, and just commenced to whipping my ass. Whap, whap, whap. I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, how the hell is he doing this? I mean, he's whipping my ass, but he's doing it basically with one hand. And I'm not a baby at that. I'm like, 10 years old, 9 or something like that. So I got some height on me, a little bit of weight, but this man had me by both my ankles with one hand and whooped my ass with a belt. And I was like, oh my Lord. And that shit hurt. And I never did it again. And he made me go over there and apologize to her too. That was like the whole slap in the face to me. I'm like, man, this woman was so mean to us and used to be so mad all the time, throwing water at us and stuff like that. You want me to go over there and say, I'm sorry? But I had to, I had to. But we got to take care of each other. We got to look out for each other. We cannot be beating on these kids. We cannot be in a place of authority and thinking that physically discipline someone else's child is okay. It is not. And your ass will go to jail for it today. Yeah. As well as you should. And I'll tell you something else too. I was a stay-at-home dad for 7 years because of things like this. When we had our daughter and our son, they were a year and a half, 2 years apart, we were debating on putting them in childcare. Not only was it expensive, we had no idea, and this is way before cameras was as readily available as they are now, but we had no idea how they would be treated when they were away from the home. And that was our biggest fear. So mama decided she was going to work, and I agreed that I would stay home. And we were living in Maine, so it snowed like a bastard there, so I was happy to stay home because I hate the cold. So I raised the kids until they were ready to start school where they were old enough to articulate how their day went. Because if they couldn't articulate that, they were not going until they were ready to go to school. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to watch out for them. And a lot of times people tend to believe the adult over the children. And that's the worst part. Just because they're an adult don't mean they ain't going to make up no lie, because they will. And they do. And they have. And they will continue to do it. So put a tracker on your child. I don't care what they say, think, or do about it. Slip one in their shoes, their backpack. That way you know where the hell they are at all times. Put a camera on them so that you can see what people are doing or saying around them all the time. And cameras are so small nowadays, It can be done. But you got to be careful, though, with that. Because if you got a camera on and you go in the bathroom and you videotaping stuff and that shouldn't be videotaped, that's a whole different can of worms right there. You know what I'm saying? So just be careful how you handle that situation because it could backfire in your face. Nonetheless, you got to protect your children. You got to look out for them. Okay? Now, I'm going to stop rambling, but I just had to share that with you. Anthony Goodrich is greatly appreciative of you all tuning in. And until the next time, and in the meantime and in between time, Anthony Goodrich is signing off.